Hey, this is Tom with Infinite Destiny on March 13th, 2024.
A new YouTube channel that's dedicated to finding interesting places to visit, interesting sights to see, and even diving into some of the history that surrounds the places we're going to look at. Right now I'm at Daytona Beach and just enjoying a little bit of the sun, a little bit of the sand, and a little bit of time away. I want to focus on that sentiment with this channel. See, today is March 13th, 2024, and I'm just now starting to build my channel. See, I personally like the Caribbean, the sun, and the sand, but I've also seen a lot of other things. I've been to Finland, I've been to Denmark, been all over Europe, I've been all over the US for work and for pleasure. And the things that I want to do with this channel is just really create the sights and sounds that you're going to experience when you're at a location. I want you to feel like you're there. Now, a lot of times through photo and video, you don't really get that feeling because it just lacks something. It lacks the depth. And so through drone footage and several other factors, I'm going to try to create as realistic an environment as possible. Here in just a little bit, I'm going to take my phone and record some video down on the beach here at Daytona Beach, just to give you an idea of some of the things that I'm hoping to try in regards to this channel. I want you to hear the ocean. I want you to be a part of it. I want you to experience it. Then I will take the main road back here, back to my hotel, so you can hear all the road noise, and let that be a part of the experience as well. I've been fortunate enough to be able to travel quite a bit and see several things that are just mind-blowing. It absolutely leaves nothing to be desired. So let me get my phone, let me get down to the beach, and we'll start talking about that.
All right. Now we're down on the beach here at Daytona Beach, and I'm just going to spend some time talking to you about all of the places that I've been. So back in 2014, I got to see quite a bit of Europe, including spending quite a bit of time in Finland, where the water comes out of the taps at the sink so cold, colder than even the water you pull, the bottled water you pull out of the fridge. So then I spent some time in Denmark, and I got to see the president, high chief, whatever they call it there, his boat that they take out, and it's apparently very rare that it's ever there, but I got to see it, so that was pretty cool. And then from there, man, it really got erratic. I got to head to Germany. While I was in Germany, I saw Mainz, which is a small city along the Rhine River. And I was also in Berlin. Got to see a lot of the historic sites around Berlin. And then I headed over to the Czech Republic and got to see Prague. Now, there is something really incredible about Prague. The first big thing is there's an old Gothic church there that's just absolutely gorgeous. I'm sure I'll do a video over it at some point. It's quite an incredible place. And then there was this amazing bridge that went over the river there. and I took a lot of photos on that bridge. And then there was a church there where Mozart had played, which was really interesting. But I think the coolest thing is there's dual towers and in between the towers used to be a drawbridge to go over the moat. And so the original towers were both built in the 1100s, but one of them fell, and so they replaced it, and I think that happened in the 1300s. The one that was standing from the 1100s had this black rock kind of right by where the drawbridge would have been. And they explained that all the kind of slashes that were on that rock that kind of went everywhere, those slashes were from the swords that they sharpened on that rock before they went out to protect the citizens. And I just thought, man, that is just so incredible that that was happening back in the 1100s, some 600 years before America was even a country. Which, speaking of old things that were around before America was a country, when I went to Stockholm, we got to see the ship, the Vasa. Now, the Vasa was interesting because it sunk in the harbor due to the fact that the king wanted to hurry up production of the boat, and told the Dutch shipbuilders that had perfected the dual level cannons to not worry about it and just duplicate the decks. And they said that's not going to work, and of course it didn't. And as they were firing off their cannons with this beautifully colored ship, had all kinds of different colors, and there was lions and all kinds of aggressive stuff on it because they wanted people to be scared from way off in the distance. So as it's taking off out of the shipyard, with the entire country watching, mind you, and they're firing off these cannons, and so obviously there were no cannonballs in it, it was just black powder, but the little hatches where the cannons stuck out were down, and when they came around this one corner, a gust of wind pushed the boat like that, and water got in the first cannon holes. And so then once that happened, it took on water there and sloshed this way and took on more water, and it literally just went straight down and sank. And they couldn't find it for a really long time. But then they finally did in the 1960s. And they basically got underneath it and pulled it up to the surface. And for a ship that was built in the, I believe, 1400s, they only had to plug like a couple holes, and they floated it in to the harbor and then built a museum around it. So that's another one that was around well before the United States was a country. So then my journeys led me to England, and England was a really cool trip because I spent some time in London, and I was able to get out of that city to a little town where my grandfather owned a building and my dad and his brothers were born. And I got to actually see the building that they were raised in while they were over there. And then London, of course, is a mad city. It's a lot like American big cities, but man, it's got some really uniqueness to it. There is a certain vibe in that city that I've yet to put my finger on that makes it a unique place. So then, most of you watching this will not know that I'm a music fan. And so while I'm in England, I took a train ride up to Liverpool, and despite the fact that I couldn't understand a single word that the hostess behind the desk at the hotel said to me, I just nodded my head because, my God, I have no idea what she said. Because I literally have no idea what she said. But while I was there, I was able to go to the Cavern Club where the Beatles got started. Now, something you need to know if you're going to go there is that the Cavern Club is still the Cavern Club, based on the fact that the bricks are from the original club. However, for some reason that it's escaping my mind right now, they had to move the Cavern Club across the street. So it's not in the original location, but it is the original bricks. And then they've added another venue kind of in the back. And then I wrapped up my trip in Ireland. Now, to say that I know a whole lot about Ireland would be a joke, because my flight leaving out of Liverpool I missed, because I didn't know that their whole shtick was you have to check in and be at the gate 2 hours before the flight. If you're not through the ticket agent and security and all of that 2 hours before your flight, you're not going anywhere. So then I had to go up to Manchester to fly out. So my time in Ireland was very short, and I need to go back and see more. What I'm trying to instill in you for this channel, Infinite Destiny, is that I'm not some guy that's just posting up videos of places that I hope to go one day. I'll be posting up videos of places that I've been, that I've seen with my own eyes. So when I talk about it, I've seen it, I've touched it. I'm amazed by history. I get lost in it. In the US, I've been to some of the most historical places known to man. I've been to Dallas. I've touched the walls at the Book Depository where Lee Harvey Oswald shot Kennedy. I've touched the pavement there. I stood where Zapruder stood. I've been to New York before and after the World Trade Centers were attacked. I've been to New Orleans, where jazz and blues were inspired and created. I've been to Abbey Road. I've been to Sun Records. I've been to Blackbird in Nashville. I've got to see these things. I've got to touch them. I've got to experience them. Well, the good thing about being at Daytona Beach in March, on March 13th, 2024, is you don't have to deal with the crowds. The problem with it is it's a little chilly, but that's okay. I'll take it over the Nashville weather right now, which is probably, I'm guessing, I haven't looked today, but I'm guessing it's probably overcast and not as pretty as it was here today. Believe it or not, even watching this video, it wasn't this cloudy all day. It was sunny. It was so beautiful earlier. And then, of course, you've got all the beachfront houses and hotels. It's just really nice. You know, I may shoot some of this video tomorrow when I make my trip over to Orlando, and then track my pre-flight and post-flight. And thank goodness I only have a direct flight tomorrow, so no layovers for this guy. So back to some of the places that I've got to see with my own eyes. I think in the US at this point, the natural wonders that we have that I've seen so far, I've got to say the Grand Canyon and Yosemite have to be my top two favorites. Although I do want to see Antelope Canyon and the Painted Desert. We had a really good time in Tombstone, Arizona, where we got to act like cowboys and see where the famous gunfight at the OK Corral happened. Got to see a reenactment there. I've gotten to see the Baseball Hall of Fame. I've gotten to see Vegas many times. And I think quite possibly my favorite drive in the US has to be between LA and Vegas. When you get that desert air hitting you and you got the top down, it's probably one of the most gorgeous drives. Which brings me to Route 66. I've always wanted to complete that as well and go from Chicago all the way out to California, which is the way they would have said it back in that time, back in the time when the Route 66 was built. Another place that I'd like to explore that I haven't been to yet is Austin, Texas. Being a big music guy, I've never been to South by Southwest, and I've never been to Austin. So those are two things on my list I need to scratch off. My biggest bucket list items right now would have to be that I'm wanting to take about a 7-week journey in 2025. Of course, right now we're in 2024, so it'd be next summer. But I'm hoping to take about 6 to 7 weeks off and spend some time globetrotting and do a 7 Wonders of the World tour, which would include Chichen Itza, Machu Picchu, Easter Island. It would include Rio, for the Christ statue, it would include the pyramids of Giza. It would include the Colosseum. And then I've always wanted to do like an Asian tour of like Thailand, Vietnam, Japan, Indo-Pacific, I guess you would say, tour. And in the midst of all that, I'm hoping to hit some southern European countries, as I've only been in the northern European area. I'd like to hit like Portugal, Spain, Andorra. That's a big one on my list. And then, of course, Italy. In conjunction with that, I would also like to see Australia and New Zealand. Now that we've made it back up to the roadway, you can see we're on South Atlantic Avenue. And I'm walking down South Atlantic Avenue near Pirates Cove Adventure Golf and the Driftwood Resort. Not too far from my hotel. It's not a bad day now. It's sun's starting to poke its head out before it sets, and the wind has died down a little bit, so that's been beneficial. So last week along this stretch, it was bike week, and from what I've been hearing from a lot of the people at the restaurants and various places that I've went into, is that it was pretty packed here last week, as it is every bike week. So I'm glad it dodged that, and I only came down here the week after, where it's a little more kind of relaxed. It's got that beach vibe to it, and I can get into restaurants, get in and out of restaurants pretty easily. And now that I've got sand in my sandals, I'm gonna head back to the hotel and get cleaned up, wash my feet off. And start to compile the video that I have, to see how much usable footage that I have. Just for redundancy. It's March 13th, 2024, and I'm uploading this for Infinite Destiny. And welcome back. I'm having to cut this up over a few days, but that's okay. Today is March 21st, and I'm back in Nashville and just hanging out. And so I thought I would talk about the trip that I'm planning on doing. Probably be next summer. I want to do the 7 Wonders of the World. So I figure I will go through some of that. I know not everybody knows what the 7 Wonders of the World are. Obviously, there are several different lists for the 7 Wonders of the World, actually. It's pretty interesting. So there was the ancient world 7 Wonders of the World, which a lot of those don't even exist anymore. And then there's a modern 7 Wonders of the World, and then there's a bunch of different lists. So I'll just go through my list with it. And again, this is for my channel Infinite Destiny on March 21st. So the first is the Great Wall of China. That's on the list of the seven wonders of the world. Um, there's a lot of information about that one. It's about 5,500 miles long. So to walk all that would take quite some time. Um, However, there is a Chinese study that says it's 13,170 miles. Um, Imagine that. The rest of the world has a fact about China, and their government releases something that is massively inconsistent with that. Apparently, the work began in 7th century BC and continued for 2 millennia. Okay. What does this say? Instead, scholars have noted that it served more as political propaganda. Okay. All right. So then you have Chichen Itza, and that's from a Mayan city in the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico, which flourished in the 9th and 10th centuries CE under the Mayan tribe Itza. So let's see. Among the most notable is Step Pyramid El Castillo, the castle, which rises 79 feet above the main plaza. It's a testament to the astronomical abilities of the Mayans. The structure features a total of 365 steps, the number of days in the solar year. Okay, so I'd say that's probably where I would start on my journey, just because it's the closest from where I'm at. Another one that I wanted to go to is Petra. That looks really interesting in Jordan. I don't know as if that would be. I don't know how it is. If the is Israel. Palestinian conflict, Gazan conflict, impacts Jordan. So I don't know. I don't know how that'll be next year. I'll have to look into that. Go to the FBI and CIA websites to see what they have to say about those areas. It was purported, so Petra was purported to be one of the places where Moses struck a rock and water gushed forth. Interesting. Let's see if there's anything else. Petra reportedly had a population of 30,000. Well, that's pretty cool. The city began to decline as trade routes shifted. A major earthquake in 363 CE caused more difficulty, and another tremor hit in 551. Petra was gradually abandoned. Although rediscovered in 1912, it was largely ignored by archaeologists until late 20th century. And I'm pulling this information from Britannica.com /list /new seven wonders of the world to give them the credit due for doing this article. And again, I'm talking about all of this for my channel, Infinite Destiny. And I'm recording this video on March 21st, 2024. Machu Picchu is next. It says this Incan site was discovered in 1911. Interesting. You believe it was home to the Virgins of the Sun, women who lived there in convents under a vow of chastity. Okay. So it's in the Andes Mountains. And actually, from Machu Picchu, this isn't the seven wonders of the world necessarily, but from there I'm probably going to try to go over to Chile and then head over to Easter Island and see the giant heads. Okay. All right, and then over in Rio, got a party in Rio. I mean, why wouldn't you? Let's see. Christ Redeemer, colossal statue of Jesus there in Rio. Its origins are just after World War One. Let's see. Construction began in 26 and completed 5 years later. It stands 98 feet tall, not including the base, which is about 26 feet. And the outstretched arm span is 92 feet. It's the largest Art Deco sculpture in the world. That's an interesting fact. Okay. The Colosseum over there in Rome. All right. The Colosseum, yeah. In the first century, feat of engineering, measures about 620 by 513 feet and features a complex system of vaults. It can hold 50,000 spectators. Wow, that's quite a bit. Gladiator fights, men battling animals was the most common. Well, it's horrific. About 500,000 people died in the Colosseum. Well, it's a wild number. It's a lot of people. Okay, so then moving from there, we go to India and see the Taj Mahal. Yeah, world's most iconic monuments. It was built by an emperor who wanted to honor his wife. It took 22 years and 20,000 workers to construct it. It has a reflecting pool. All right, cool. So that's the 7 wonders of the world. Let's look up some facts about Easter Island and see what's going on over there. All right, so step 1, Easter Island has a few different names. The indigenous name is Rapa Nui, I would guess. There's also an older name for the island. Te Pito o Te Henua, meaning the world's navel. Interesting. Okay, Easter Island is the world's most secluded inhabited island. It's 3,800 kilometers off the coast of Chile. And it's a 5-hour flight from Santiago. You can also fly there from Tahiti, but 7 hours. Wow, that is a long flight. For perspective, from Nashville to LA, if you fly straight through, it's like 4.5. A Polynesian chief first settled the island hundreds of years ago. So legend says that this chief led his people to Easter Island anywhere from 800 to 1700 years ago. There were just 111 people remaining in 1877. Today, there are around 8,000 people living on the island, and almost half consider themselves indigenous. All right. Okay, so the giant heads on the island are supposedly are the iconic elements of the Rapa Nui culture, and they're called moai. Let me find out how to pronounce these things. Okay, so one of the most iconic elements of the Rapa Nui culture is the moai, the massive moai, which is the huge stone sculptures that represented the faces of worshipped ancestors. Okay. Yeah. Okay, here's some fun facts about the famous moai. They were originally known as Easter Island heads before archaeologists discovered the statues have bodies in 1914. The giant heads are already impressive enough, and it's incredible to imagine just how big these statues are with bodies too. Also, some of the moai have pukau, a hat-like object on their heads. Some theories say it represents hair, while others say it's a symbol of power. The Rapa Nui moved the moai statues up to 18 kilometers. But how? Now, I actually think I know this one before I read through this article. I believe they were creating them at the top of the mountain and then rolling them down the hill. Let's see. The moai are big and solid. They were carved with stone chisels by islanders from solid volcanic ash. So how did they move the masses? No one really knows, as there's no written history and only the stories passed along between generations. However, considering the average height of the moai is 4 meters and the width is 1.6 meters, and they weigh around 12.5 tons, the weight of 2 African elephants, it must have been truly remarkable feat to move the moai around 18 kilometers around the island. Easter Island holds the Tapita Rapa Nui Festival every year. Interesting. Celebrate their culture every year with the Tapita Rapa Nui Festival. It's held during the first 2 weeks of February with traditional activities like wood carving and music played on unique 8-string flat ukuleles. What I'd really like to do is I'd like to get a catamaran and sail the Caribbean. That would be an absolute blast in my eyes. Get some blue water sailing in. So let's talk about blue water sailing for a little bit. Let's start by looking up yachts and discussing how much a yacht costs. Again, this is for my channel, Infinite Destiny. It's going to be a travel channel. And this video is being recorded on March 21st. Okay, so we got Yacht World up. Let's just go ahead and type in catamaran. And the prices really range. I think you can get a good used, new/used catamaran for around $500,000. And that's usually going to get you the most outfitted one would be used. 500,000 on a new one would be just the boat, and then you'd have to get a lot of the accoutrement for the boat. Some of the big boat names are Lagoon, Fontaine, Peugeot, Leopard, Bali. Those are some of the big catamaran names that are out there. So what I've looked up as far as sailing in the Caribbean, it's quite interesting. You have to really prepare yourself for such an adventure. The biggest thing, and I wonder how this is the boats have water makers on them. And what that means is it takes the salt water and converts it into drinkable water. It's called reverse osmosis. It's called RO water. And they say that there's no nutrients in it, but what you get is hydration out of it, basically. Also, I'm really curious what it would be like to be on a boat in the hot summer sun, because it is different. The closer you get to the equator, it will melt your skin off. So I'm kind of curious how the air conditioning works on the boats, if it really cools it down or if it just kind of tempers it off a little bit. Living on a catamaran is quite different than a sailboat. A sailboat, the monohulls, everything's kind of all on top of one another. But with a catamaran, you have a little bit more space to kind of move around. Obviously, you have the two hulls. So if you're mad at whoever you're with, you can go to your hull and they can go to their hull, and you can just kind of take some time away from one another. But what I really feel like would be one of the cooler features of travel like that is I play guitar, and it would be really interesting to go to these different islands and just show up and play for free, just have fun and play some music and maybe meet some of the musicians on the islands and learn a different style from them, and learn how they play and traditional songs of their cultures. And I think that would be really, really, really fun. And then obviously, learning how to sail. So most boats, sailboats and catamarans, I guess I should say monohulls and catamarans both have motors. So if there's no wind, I know you can motor through, but I think it would be fun for me to learn how to actually sail the boat and be able to move something that big with just wind. That'd be pretty interesting. I don't know if I got done sailing within the Caribbean, if I would be if I would take the chance to go across the ocean, I think that would be a massive undertaking, and you'd really have to make sure that you have all the necessary preparations, like extra rope, make sure you have plenty of fuel for days where you don't have wind, make sure your sails are in good order, make sure your hulls are in good order, make sure you have enough food, make sure you have, I mean, it would be a massive undertaking to go overseas like that. But I think once you got to like Europe or, if you went the other way, if you went through the Panama Canal and head for that Southern Cross, I think it would be either way, it would be just a really long time at sea, possibly not seeing anybody else or anything else for quite some time. So that would be interesting. I think I would have to be retired before I could do that. So I'd have enough time to complete that. I don't think I could take enough time off to complete a trip that big. But it would be something. It's a nice dream to aim towards anyway. And this channel's a dream of mine, to start a travel channel and hopefully start as just talking about some of these places and grow it into a channel in which I actually go to these places. That would just be, I mean, life changing, right? Um, Checking things off the old bucket list, and and then what do you do? What do you do if you complete your bucket list, right? What I mean, do you just create another bucket list? Is there any end to it? I don't know. I'd like to find out, though. I know that um, it would be extremely fun for me to check off the initial bucket list and then start a whole new bucket list. So that's my goal anyway. Um, so I've already been starting the process for this channel, Infinite Destiny, um, and today is March 21st. I've already started all the process for this. I've been trying to get some imagery and stuff. Um, I've been trying to get some imagery and stuff for the channel. That has proved to be a little bit of an issue. I asked for something from a um, I had asked for something from a digital media person trying to get a design, and he just flat out said he couldn't do what I had in my head, which I didn't think was that hard, but apparently it was. So yeah, we will continue this process and try to get this channel up and running as soon as possible, to provide quality videos, some incredible drone footage, some incredible places to discuss, and hopefully bring all of that to you very soon. So, yeah, this is Tom for Infinite Destiny on March 21st. All right, Tom with Infinite Destiny, March 21st. I have a little bit more time to fill, so I figured I would fill it by continuing to talk about the Caribbean. Let's talk about the Caribbean. I'm sure most people don't know a lot of the islands in the Caribbean. So, Caribbean. Let's look it all over. If you were leaving from Florida, I would say you would want to hit Freeport, Hopetown, Nassau, the Bahamas. Oh yeah, Bimini. Bimini is a spot that a lot of folks do like a weekend sailing trip to. Yeah, the Exumas are gorgeous. I've been down there, swam with the pigs. That's fun. Exumas. It's a fun thing to say. Can't go to Cuba for obvious reasons, although it would be nice to pop into Havana and check it out. But you can go around it and go to the Caymans, Jamaica, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, Turks and Caicos, BVI, the British Virgin Islands, or UVI, the U.S. Virgin Islands. I've heard St. Kitts, Antigua, Montserrat. Now, that would be an interesting one to go to for the simple fact a lot of people don't know the history of Montserrat. But Jimmy Buffett's song, Jimmy Buffett's song Volcano was about Montserrat, and he recorded it on Montserrat. About the volcano in Montserrat that ended up exploding, and so the population for that island dropped off severely after the volcano blew. And the a fun fact about that island is George Martin, the guy that recorded the Beatles, had a studio on there after he left Abbey Road. He had a string of studios, and one of them was on that island, and I believe that's where Jimmy Buffett recorded that song. So yeah, Antigua, Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia, Barbados, Grenada, and where I want to hit is Curacao, which is over by Aruba, just north of Venezuela, but not controlled by Venezuela. And then there's Trinidad. So that would pretty much wrap up your Caribbean trip as far as the Caribbean islands. But from there, you could head over and go up the Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras. However, I've heard the eastern coast of all of that is thick with pirates, so you'd have to be very, very careful. A lot of people at that point scoot by Venezuela and Colombia. Again, you got to be careful of pirates. And then take the Panama Canal and go up the western seaboard of Central America. And there's one channel I follow right now that they went into the Gulf of California to get away from some of the hurricanes, and then came down from Cabo and headed towards the Marquesas Islands. And they're over that way going around right now. But as for my channel, Infinite Destiny, on March 21st, we are not sailing yet. So we got to get to a point where we have the freedom to go sailing. think that my favorite islands, just from what little bit I know, I really like the Exumas. Beyond that, I think it would be interesting to check out Puerto Rico. I have a friend that's been there, and he talks very, very highly of Puerto Rico, how happy the people are there, how enjoyable of an experience it was. And he didn't just visit for a week, he was living down there for a few months, and said it was just a really pretty place with very happy people. The Dominican would be interesting, I think, especially checking out places that are not the typical destination, go to this resort, get the all inclusive, but like docking and seeing the actual sites and meeting the actual people there. Uh, the USVI is really important for sailors because when you're sailing, you can actually get stuff delivered there through the post office, and it's not as bad to get it delivered there financially as what it would be anywhere else. But I think pretty much a bad day, right, at any of these islands, like a horrible day, um, rain and cloudy skies and all that. I think a bad day in that regard would be better than pretty much every other day anyway. I'm looking forward to finally getting to that point in my life, and I really want to get out there and sail, sail, sail. Check it all out, meet all the people, do all the doing. I'm going to see if this is enough video to push me over the edge to what I need. Let's check it out. Tom, Infinite Destiny, March 21st. Well, I needed to add a little bit more onto here. So let's talk about boats. Talking about everything. I'm talking about everything I could think of. All the things in the world that I could talk about. And I'm going to talk about boats because boats are part of travel and this is a travel channel. So let's talk about boats. I think the one that I enjoy the most out of these. Let me find the okay, filter. Let's filter by make. Okay. I believe it's the Leopard. Okay. Model, engines, hull material. Model. I think it's because I got the price too low. The Leopards are kind of expensive. Let's try 600,000 for a used one. Yeah, okay, so there we go. We've got, I got a Leopard 40 here. Let's see what year this is. This is in Roadtown, Virginia. Okay, let's see what the details are. This is a 2020. It's a 2020 in Virginia, and it's $409,000. Man, this thing looks nice. TVs and the beds and the catamarans are so much better, so much bigger, I think, than the monohulls. I'm just a cat guy. I think I like the space. Usually they have the double helm, a helm on either side to control the boat. Plenty of spot for solar panels. Spot for your dinghy or car. If you're in the boating world, it's your car to get to land. It's got the seating outside and inside, and there's a lot of space. So if you want to have other boaters over for sundowners, which is the drink that they have when the sun's going down, it's pretty simple. You can have those on the boat. And I think the interesting thing about a boat, the hard thing would be to get a name for the boat. I need to reach out to a friend of mine that speaks French because my dad, for all of his wonderment and complexities, he had a name and I have no idea how to spell it, and I can't find it anywhere online because I don't know how to spell it. But I'm hoping I can get a hold of somebody to say it, which he would have butchered it, and so then maybe they can translate it into actually what it would be in French, and then tell me what it means. But that's going to be a long shot, and I don't know if I can find somebody that could read my dad's mind. I'm sure it's something silly because he was always thinking of something silly to say with his boats. But yeah, $409,000 for a 2020. That's not bad. That's not a bad price, and I'm sure it would get me through the Caribbean, through that blue water sailing. Turns out it was not long enough. So let's just keep going. Um, let's start with the fact that I want to go to Europe next summer. And I would very, very, very much like to check out the pyramids of Giza, Portugal, Spain. Spain would be cool. Italy, Malta. And like I said, from the pyramids of Giza, popping over to Jordan and checking out Petra. I've already been, as far as Europe goes, to Finland, Estonia, Czech Republic, Germany, Belgium, Netherlands, the UK. I haven't been to Scotland yet. So I need to say England. I need to make it to Scotland. I've been to Ireland. I don't know if I said Sweden already. I do want to pop down and see Switzerland. And then there's this great little place between Spain and France called Andorra. I want to check that place out and go to the spas there. I've heard the spas are where it's at in Andorra. So to bring this all to a head and really just define what I would like to do if I had nothing else to do and could do anything I wanted. Money wasn't an object, yada, yada, yada. I'd like to sail the world. I'd like to see a lot of the countries, all of them if possible. And I would like to see all of the relics and old world things that have been around and stood the test of time, like the roads that the Romans built, and items like the Pyramid of Giza, things like that. This is what I would like to do with my life, but right now I work a job and I'm trying to create this out of intrigue and interest of the things that I would like to see with my own eyes one day. I hope that you come along for the trip. I hope that you see all of my videos and enjoy each one. Hopefully it'll give you ideas on where you can go, things you can check out, maybe spark interest in something you didn't know about so you can research it yourself. And if you don't go, just the interest and the intrigue in the topic. This is Tom for Infinite Destiny, March 21st. Peace.